Well, welcome to Christian Answers again for this week. Glad to have you along for the journey. And today we're going to be talking about a sign that I've been seeing around town. It's popping up on different people's lawns. And it's supposed to be making a statement about truth. It's supposed to be communicating some deep convictions on the part of the family that has this sign in their front yard, and I'm seeing it all over the place. Maybe it's popping up in your neighborhood. Maybe it's popping up in your town. But I want to say that what it says is just nonsense from the perspective of someone who is not already indoctrinated in these sloganeering statements that it's showing. So let me show you what I mean by this sign, and I'll show you what is taking place, and I'll explain it a little bit. So let's look at the sign, and we'll explain what it's supposed to be meaning. So here we go. Here's the sign that I see popping up all over the place around where I live. And it says, in this house, we believe. So this is a strong conviction from the people that live in the house. And this is supposed to be very profound truths, and this is supposed to be making a stand and making a statement and declaring to the world what the truth is. But as we will find out, as I go through there and break this down, this is nonsense. And so it either is making a statement that everyone already affirms, or it's actually trying to say more than what the statement is. So they're trying to be dishonest. They're actually trying to say something that everyone believes, but then take it further and pour into that meaning something that is far beyond what most people understand. So it says, in this house, we believe Black Lives Matter. Okay. Love is love. Okay. Another general statement. Science is real. Okay. Feminism is for everyone. Wonder what that means. No human is illegal. What does that mean? Kindness is everything. Okay. So obviously there are some generalized statements here that mean some very specific things for the people who put this sign up. But when it comes to actually what it actually means, or what it translates out into, it's different. So let's go through theirs. So the first one let's deal with is Black Lives Matter. Yes, we all affirm Black Lives Matter. Yellow lives matter. White lives matter. Brown lives matter. Whatever your skin color is, you matter. Why? Because you're made in the image of God. Okay, understood. Got it. What the sign is supposed to be meaning is, here's what it actually is saying in coded language for those who are already inducted into this secret society, so to speak, that they're putting this sign up. Black Lives Matter is a code phrase for America is a racist, white supremacist, unjust, corrupt from the core nation that has to be dismantled and rebuilt along the lines of social Marxism. That's what it means. So in other words, it's not enough to say all lives matter. It's not enough to say white lives matter, black lives matter, brown lives matter, yellow lives matter, pale lives matter, red lives matter, whatever the skin color. It's not enough to say that now, because you have to actually be on board with the critique of the United States as a racist, white supremacist, corrupt, evil system that must be opposed. And everything is poured into the phrase Black Lives Matter. So you have a lot of people who say, I'm for Black lives, which I'm for Black lives. I'm for every single nationality, every single ethnic group. I'm for every skin color, whatever you are. I'm for you, and I want to see you have equal rights, equal opportunities, a fair and just life in this country. No question. And everybody that I know wants that same thing. The thing is that when you say Black Lives Matter, you're not talking about that general statement. You're talking about the organization now. You're talking about a movement now. You're talking about a political and ideological movement that has all kinds of baggage thrown together. One of the things Black Lives Matter as the movement stands for is defund the police. Defund the police. What a crazy, insane idea. But that's supposed to be packed into it. Another thing Black Lives Matter, the movement teaches, again, like I said before, America is white supremacist, racist, corrupt. The police are hunting down black people, according to basketball players. It's just crazy as what we're supposed to be affirming when we affirm Black Lives Matter. So everybody affirms Black Lives Matter, but not everybody affirms this movement that's wanting to say a lot more than what they're actually saying. So beware of these sloganeering, these little cliches that are supposed to get you involved, but then you realize, oh, wait, this is a lot more than what I'm affirming. This is something all political and ideological and marching and protesting and defunding the police and rioting and burning down buildings and all of that, all into one. And it's sort of hijacking a phrase. So let's go on to the next statement on this sign. Love is love. Okay. So you would say, whoa, that's pretty basic. I mean, who would disagree with that? Love is love, you know. Yeah, what's it mean? What does the phrase love is love mean? Well, again, doesn't everybody want to affirm that? Yeah, love is love. We should all love our neighbors as ourselves. Love is one of those general terms that if you're somebody that says, no, I'm against love, you're crazy, you're insane. Of course, everybody would affirm the phrase love is love, just like everybody would affirm the phrase Black Lives Matter. Of course, yes, obviously, it's axiomatic. Love is love, but it doesn't mean that to these radicals. What it means in the context of this sign and what it means as a phrase today is that marriage that has always been understood based on the biblical teaching, the Judeo-Christian teaching, and even beyond that. I mean, even you go outside of the Judeo-Christian heritage and you go out to the Greeks and you go out to the Romans and you go to the Chinese and you go all to the ancient cultures, and they all affirmed that marriage was a man and a woman. Obviously, look at history. But today, love, the phrase love is love, doesn't mean what it says. It actually means a whole lot, again, political, ideological things. What it means today is that society should affirm and celebrate same-sex marriage. So it should affirm even more than that, even polyamorous arrangements, marriage of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people or whatever, endless numbers of configurations. So what the phrase love is supposed to mean today is that 2 men should be able to get married, 2 women should be able to get married, 3 people should be able to get married, 4, 5, whatever. Polyamorous communities should be able to get married. Polygamy, 1 man, 5, 6, 10 wives, like the ancient Mormons used to do. Whatever you want to do, because love is love. And the obvious extension would be, well, if you want to marry your dog, if you want to marry your cat, if you want to perform acts of bestiality, hey, love is love. You know, why not extra species love? Why not interspecies love? Any kind of configuration, any kind of love is love. That's the logic of that radical, terrible, awful idea. So when you depart from the binary of man and woman in marriage, then you get all kinds of sexually perverted situations, ranging from pedophilia, bestiality, homosexuality, sodomy. You just go on and on and on. And that's the problem. The phrase love is love on its surface is perfectly fine. Everybody would affirm it. But when you start understanding what they mean by that, they mean that anyone who wants to have any kind of sexual romantic relationship should be able to do that. That is wrong, and that will never work for society. Every society that has ever tried and experimented with that foolishness has descended into perversity and decadence. And that's exactly what will happen in our country if we don't get wise, get smart, and reject these bad, rotten ideas like this sign is saying here. So let's go on to the third. Science is real. Now, again, who would ever dismiss science? Who would ever say science is not real? Of course, we owe so much today on science. We have medical science that helps us when we're sick. We go to the hospital, go to the emergency room, take a pill every day. Most people do take some kind of a pill, especially when you get older, whether it's cholesterol medication, high blood pressure, whatever. Modern science has done a lot of good. Telecommunications, the internet, all kinds of scientific breakthroughs. And we affirm them. What crazy person does not think science is real? But what they're saying by this sign and what they're trying to insinuate is that unless you don't go along with all of the left-wing ideological talking points, ranging from climate change, macro evolutionary theory, you go through radical lockdown procedures because of COVID-19, radical, protocols for locking down entire cities, contact tracing, the whole 9 yards. If you don't go along with the whole ideological leftist agenda, the socialist agenda, the humanistic agenda, then you're not for science. And so they want to say to people who don't go along with all of that, see, we want to affirm science is real, but you guys are all the science deniers. And what you want to do is just operate on the old-fashioned ideas like the Bible. And you're wanting to live your lives according to the old-fashioned ideas like the Bible and the Judeo-Christian tradition. And you want to ignore all of the scientific evidence for all of these things. Well, the problem is that is false. The leftist, radical, democratic talking point of science, we're the party of science, is totally a lie. First of all, if you're the party of science, why are you for abortion? Don't you understand that there is no point in the womb where that baby is not a living individual baby, a person in the womb? At no point can you split the process of 9 months and say, okay, at 5 months, it's now a person, and then we have to treat it differently. Or at 4 months, no, it's a continuum, just like life is a continuum. When the baby's born, there's a continuum of when it becomes infant, child, young adult, young person, young adult, middle age, senior citizen, so forth. So life is a continuum. That's science. A unique human person comes into existence at conception. It has its own DNA. The girl or the boy in that womb, the baby, has its own DNA. And then it develops on a continuum all throughout its life. And so if you're the party of science, then you would not be for the killing of a person in the womb, because you would look at the science and say, my goodness, this is a human being. This is a living human being that has a heartbeat, that has blood circulation, that has brain activity. We can't take the life of this living human being. That's immoral. If you're the party of science, then use science. But see, what they want to do is they want to say we're the party of science only selectively. So what they want to do here is they want to say, see, science is real. But what they really mean is the science that we want to point out is real. The science that we have selectively cherry-picked among the different aspects of science. We want to emphasize those scientific points, but we want to ignore everything else. We want to emphasize the scientific data and research on climate change, but we don't want to look at any of the research or data on climate change that contradicts our ideology. So they're not strictly the science party. They want to be known as the science party, but it's all a propaganda plan. They don't really go all in for science when it contradicts their ideology. They go in for science when it confirms their own biases and their own opinions. Then they're the science. So be careful of that. Understand that when you hear these slogans, again, same thing, Black Lives Matter, of course, yes, we affirm that, but not the movement, not the rioting, not the protesting, not the defund the police part, not the America's racist and white privilege is everywhere and it's a terrible, awful place. No, that's separate from the statement. And then love is love, of course, everybody affirms that, but that doesn't mean that you change marriage to accommodate any kind of configuration. No. And then science is real. Yes, we all affirm science. Does anybody deny science? No. But it means a lot more than just cherry picking certain things and then stressing that. So let's go to then the fourth slogan here on the sign. Feminism is for everyone. Well, this is something that is so ingrained into the population now that this is probably the point where it's really going to be hard to communicate anything else. Feminism has sold itself for the last 50 years as this great good for women. Although feminism is for the taking of an unborn child. So in other words, if you're a feminist, pretty much today you have to be in favor of having the right to murder children in the womb when you don't want them. Even if you can have them physically and there's no physical problem, there's no medical reason why you shouldn't have a child. If the woman, feminists say, decides that it might be too much for her or it might be too stressful or she doesn't maybe think she has the finances to support a child or for whatever reason, whatever she might think, then she should have the legal right to kill that baby in the womb and relieve her of that responsibility of raising a child. That's what feminism has brought us. But not just that. It's not just abortion. Feminism also is on board, all in on the LGBTQ revolution. It's all in on the gay marriage revolution. If you talk to feminists, you are not going to find a feminist, a true feminist, the Gloria Steinem feminist type, or the Bella Abzug feminist type, or all of these Gloria Steinems, the high-profile feminists. All of them are for the radical overthrow of the traditional Judeo-Christian family. They see it as a patriarchal prison for women, in other words. And so that has been communicated in the popular press and through colleges and universities, school systems, pop culture for the last 50 years. And it has devastated marriage today. It has devastated the family to the point today where this feminist theology has basically gutted and destroyed marriage and family in our Western civilization. Today, over half of all marriages end in divorce. That means that over half of all children are not being raised by their biological mother and father. They're all split between, and oftentimes, foster care and adoption and all kinds of other things. But the fallout of the feminist movement is becoming clear and clear and clear. So the sloganeering sign that says that feminism is for everyone, actually, it should read, to be truthful, it should be feminism ruins things for everyone. Now, there are some areas, for example, where there have been positive changes brought about by the feminist pressures politically. Women have been able to go into different areas of study and fields, STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, whereas before there might have been some kind of a bias against a woman, for example, going into engineering because that was traditionally a male field. And so women have had more openings and options to go into these fields. And some of the legislation that was for equal pay, for equal work situations, those have been positive. But as far as the long-term lasting effects of feminism, bad thing. And it is not a positive thing. It has not helped families. It has not helped children. It's grown a big daycare industry where women have basically dumped their kids into daycare and gone off to get a career like the feminists told them to get. But as a result, it has split families. Marriages have dissolved. Nowadays, couples don't even bother getting married. That's all part of the legacy of feminism. Let's look at the next talking point here, the radical socialist democrats talking point. No human is illegal. Now, we would affirm that, right? It's not illegal to be a human. But that's not what it means. That's not actually what it's saying. What it's saying, it's making a statement about a border policy, among other things. It's making a statement about, mostly it's making a statement about the current president's border policy. And he's advocating for a stricter, more regulated border so that we don't have illegal people crossing our southern border from Mexico. He doesn't want countries in Latin America sending criminals up this way. He doesn't want terrorists crossing the border and coming into our country to do mischief. He wants to get a handle on the flow of immigrants coming into our country. And that's pretty much common sense, right? I mean, if you're a country, you want to be able to control who comes in to your nation from outside. You don't want unrestricted border crossings because you want order, law and order in the country. You don't want chaos. And if you can't control your borders, if you don't have a clearly defined border, and if you don't have a control over your border, that's going to mean chaos. But see, again, this is a leftist talking point that you're supposed to open your borders to everyone. And the Democrats have been pushing this over and over and over again. Again, it's just a political point. So these statements that we're reading on these signs that are going up in the neighborhood, highly political, highly ideological, far leftist, radical, actually based on, a lot of times they're based on reactionary politics. And so they're really not based on sound, sane reasoning. They're based on other things. And the last point is the kindness is everything. And, well, who can doubt that? Kindness is important for a society, to have a kind society. But again, I'd go back, here's the same sign that's advocating abortion, and now they're talking about kindness. Well, let's apply kindness. Is it kind to kill a baby in the womb? Is it kind to that baby to take its life? I mean, kindness applies to a lot of things. But what they're trying to say is that we need a country that doesn't get mad at really insane, absurd ideas that are coming forth from the left today. So in other words, if you hear someone spouting off the slogan, defund the police, and you say, no way, that's not a good idea. Oh, you're not kind. You're not reacting in kindness. See, kindness means to the radicals in our country today, kindness means accepting and tolerating everything. You know, we saw that in the so-called CHOP or CHAD in Seattle, that so-called autonomous zone, where some radical leftist anarchists came in and took over a few city blocks in downtown Seattle. And the mayor of the city just let that happen and tolerated that. And, oh, that's fine. They're just expressing their freedom of thought, in our country. Taking over a downtown 2-3 city blocks and preventing businesses and pedestrians to cross in and freely go about their business. That's expression? No, that's anarchy. But see, kindness, in her definition, the mayor's definition of Seattle was, well, we have to be kind to all these Americans. They're just expressing their feelings about what they want to do. No, that's anarchy. And so all of these sloganeering and these slogans, they're really packed with a lot of leftist, radical ideology and politics that you have to be careful with. You really have to unpack. When people come up to you and say, Black Lives Matter, you really have to say, wait, what are you talking about? Explain further and further. Or love is love. Okay, love is love. What does that mean? Science is real. All right, science is real. There really are scientists. There really are experiments that take place. Feminism is for everyone. Ask them to explain. What are you talking about? What do you mean feminism is for everyone? Go further. No human is illegal. Well, if someone comes on your property and comes into your backyard, or someone comes into your yard and wants to swim in your swimming pool that you spent a whole summer putting in, and they're just out there swimming it, is that okay? No human is illegal. Well, yeah, they are. They're illegally trespassing on your property. So you make people explain things. Kindness is kindness is everything. Well, kindness is important, but it's not everything, because you certainly want to have justice, and you certainly want to have the rule of law, and you certainly want to maintain order in society. So the lesson, I guess, is from a Christian perspective, make people define what they're talking about, and then go on from there. Well, we'll see you back next week on another edition of Christian Answers. God bless.